Hello and welcome to Kismet. At Kismet, you are invited to awaken to your truth, to the magic of synchronicities. And this work is about remembering, reconnecting, and stirring your soul to align to your authenticity, your inner wisdom, your autonomy, and your personal power. I'm your host, Jackie Abramov, and I am a mystic. I'm a practicing Western tropical astrologer, and I work very closely with subtle energy, releasing grief and releasing blocks in my one-to-one somatic release and reprogramming sessions. This work is involving your shadow and your unconscious mind and your nervous system. So my passion is liberation, first for myself, and secondly, my offerings for others, where I create spaces for you to liberate yourself. So I offer teachings, tools, insight, and guidance for other humans to ignite their own inner flame and align to their most authentic self. My specialty is in shadow work and the unconscious, as this is the part of ourselves from which we are most generally operating. We're actually manifesting and creating our lives mainly from our unconscious mind. As implied by the word unconscious, we are not aware of this very big part of ourselves. This is by nature something that we struggle to see. And we do struggle to see this because in order to keep ourselves safe, we feel that we need to push parts of ourselves away so that we can be good, acceptable, and loved. So, this very deep part of our psyche is riddled with stories, thoughts, and beliefs that are guiding our life. So, I'm incredibly passionate about bringing the shadow into the light with acceptance and non-judgment. And this is a very vital part of awakening, as true awakening is actually awakening to non-judgment and to your shadow and to your unconscious mind. So I want to start today by sharing a little bit about my work because I'm personally getting ready to expand my formats in podcasting. I'm still very new to this platform, and it is a way of getting my ideas and information out into the world, but it's all an experiment for me. I am just seeking to do this as authentically as I can. So thank you so much for being here. I'm grateful for your listening, for your support. It's my hope that this offering will deeply inspire you whenever it is that you're listening. So welcome. So tomorrow, December the 21st, is winter solstice. And this is the time when the earth stands still on its axis. So symbolically, we can think of the couple days around the solstice as a period of time for pause. In astrology, the beginning of Capricorn season is the beginning of winter solstice because Western tropical astrology is connected to the seasons. So winter solstice has been celebrated as an ancient tradition for cultures that were connected to the cycles of the earth, paying attention to the seasons, the sun, where the sun is in the sky. And this is how we know that the solstice is about when the sun has reached this point where it will no longer go any further, but it's actually the earth that is adjusting its tilt towards and away from the sun. So Capricorn season. Capricorn is this energy of Saturn. And right away, as soon as we mention Saturn, it's almost like everyone feels their energy drop, like, oh no, not Saturn, not Capricorn. And I would love to encourage you to reprogram your concept of Saturn. Saturn is a part of us. And it's actually the part of us that wants to wake up every day and feel that we are aligned. We are aligned with ease and we are living on purpose. When we learn how to work with our Saturn, our Capricorn energy, we end up doing everything that makes our lives feel fulfilling, even the little things. So I just want you to see if you could give yourself permission right now to remember that you are here on this earth, in this life, for you that it's not about anyone else, that you're literally here for you, for your journey. Now, Saturn in astrology, we refer to as Father Time. And this is because Saturn is our timekeeper. It's our inner timekeeper. And when we think about Saturn being this inner timekeeper, it comes down to like, well, how are we spending our time? And this is one of the greatest lessons that we're here to learn on Earth. From the time we're very little, before we know what to do with ourselves, we are looking for something to do with our time. Now, when we're young, we can create and we can play games and make things up. But as soon as we get older, we begin to feel lost with our time. So, of course, we have all these structures, we have all these rules, we have all these ideas of what people should do with their time in order to feel, quote, productive, right? This is a very Saturn theme. So, what we do is, well, we have people go to school for 8 hours a day or go to work for 8 hours a day. When children come home, they don't know what to do. Well, now they have homework to do. They have something that feels productive that they can do with their time that will help them get ahead in life. So it makes sense, right? That we would have some kind of organized structure to help kids know what to do with their time. The Saturn energy is about investment, right? Well, how do you invest your time? So, one of the questions I always like to think of when I'm thinking of Saturn is how do you feel about the emotional and physical energy that you're exerting with your time? And are you in charge of your time? Or is someone else in charge of your time? As much as we maybe don't like to admit it, what we give our time to, we actually give our life to. And what we make our life about is what we make our time about. This is actually why there's so much dissatisfaction in life. It is related to us not doing things with our time that feel like they are really worth our investment. I can definitely relate to this because I spent many years in jobs where I was not satisfied with how I was spending my time, and it felt very upsetting. It caused a lot of depression. So this can feel this like you're spinning your wheels, you're wasting your time, you're doing things you don't really want to do or don't really care about. This is definitely where depression finds its roots. Saturn's very connected with depression because when we don't know what to do with ourselves, when we don't know where to start, what to do, where to go, we end up getting like caught in this loop of feeling like our time is worthless. It's wasted. We're not doing something that feels aligned. But Saturn in the winter solstice and Capricorn season, this is all working for us to remind us that we actually have a choice about what to do with our time. And this is the cure for depression. I've heard it said that solitude is the cure for depression. And this is because a lot of depression comes from loneliness and not feeling like we have purpose or alignment. But when we choose solitude, then we're going to choose to spend our time working on things that bring us joy. And this is no small task, but it is one that we are invited to embark on in this lifetime. So we're coming inward for winter, right? We're given about a 3-month window from December the 21st to March the 21st to plan intentions and to commit to ourselves, to commit to sow into us. And this is why the new year is actually a great time for intentions, because it's a time to recommit to our Saturn energy. Now, I would be remiss if I did not mention the shadow of Capricorn energy. And the shadow of this is this feeling of needing to feel accomplished, needing to work to feel worthy. It can be a lot about making money, and if you make enough money, then you'll finally be satisfied. The shadow of Capricorn energy can be exhausted and resentful and irritable. Right? There can be a critical nature that we have towards ourselves. There's a feeling with the shadow of Capricorn of a lot of should do's and have to's. And so if you are telling yourself, I should do this, or I should do that, or I have to do this, and there's no one else to do it, you're going to end up in the shadow of Capricorn's energy. And of course, as I'll say many times, no shame at all, just recognizing that this is, in fact, the shadow. A lot of times Capricorn energy can get really focused on money, security, or it can be rooted in trying to be someone or be something in order to be recognized by someone, maybe your parents, maybe your community. Like this idea that if I achieve this or if I accomplish this, then everyone will see that I'm worthy and I'm good, or so and so will see that I'm worthy and good. An example of this that's very, very prevalent during this time of year is we can have this feeling that we should work out or eat better, and we'll maybe make an intention to do that, but it comes from this should energy. And if we approach our intentions with that mentality of I should do this, I know it's the right thing to do, then we're going to quickly burn out. And this is because it's not aligned and fun for us. If we're going to set intentions, we don't want to do it from the place of should or have to. We want to choose something that feels inspiring. So if you feel like you want to be able to move better in your body, choose an activity that's going to support you to move better in your body and approach it with that energy. Because if we feel like we have to lose weight in order to be good enough, everything is drudgery, everything is resistance. And that energy ends up just draining us and exhausting us. So this is why we don't end up doing the things that we want to commit to or we say we're going to commit to. Now, the highest expression of Capricorn energy is investing and knowing how to invest in yourself in ways that feel nourishing, worthwhile, and inspiring. Conscious Capricorn knows what to say yes to and what to say no to. This is where to become conscious of our Capricorn, to become conscious of our Saturn energy, we begin to take the role of being our own boss. We begin to take charge of and direct our lives. Most of us know that success doesn't come from the amount of money that we make. But do we know where success does come from? Personally, I believe that success comes from the satisfaction with how we've spent our lives. And let me just interject an important point here, because a lot of times when we say, well, how do you want to spend your life? A lot of people will just fall into, well, I want to spend my life with my family. Yes, of course, that's an important part of your time here. Relationships are very important. But that's not all. And that can often be a little bit of a cop-out from committing to what it is that you truly want for you. Because our time here on earth isn't just about hanging out with people. There's more to it. We have things that we want to create. We have things that we want to express. We have experiences that we want to encounter. And that's not just hanging out with friends or family. There's a lot more to life than that. So at the same time, I don't want to make it sound like you have to do something so big and so important that everyone in the world sees it. Rather, I'm saying there's a middle point that we want to come to of recognizing that we are, in fact, aligned with what it is that we truly want to be manifesting and creating with our lives. So, a couple of ways, I'm going to list 3 ways that you could know that you might be in this shadow energy of Capricorn or Saturn, or maybe not owning your Saturn. Number 1 is if you don't feel really good about the work you're doing, if you don't feel aligned with how you spend your work time. Number 2, if you don't feel energized by what you're doing at work, meaning that you feel exhausted at the end of the day. And number 3, if it doesn't truly light you up. So if you're just doing it because you can, that is very much the shadow of the Capricorn energy. That has the feeling of should or have to. Again, no shame. I never want you to feel shamed of this. We all experience the shadow of Capricorn because this is the only way to learn consciously in this lifetime. We have to go into the polarity. We have to experience the shadow so that we can learn that we have to choose differently. So with the solstice and Capricorn energy, if we find ourselves in spaces and places that don't align, we don't need to jump off a cliff, right? We can start small. We can start with, how are you spending your time outside of the work you're doing? Is the time that you have outside of work getting used to develop more joy in your life? More sense of connection to your soul's essence? Or are you spending that time like in ways that make you feel less nourished, less like inspired, right? So again, we don't necessarily have to know what that thing is that's going to really light us up day to day, but we can choose, well, how are we going to wake up in the morning? How are we going to spend the minutes and the hours that we have outside of the time that we're working? Now, Saturn and Capricorn are parts of us that are inherently difficult to embody, because to embody them means to take charge of our life in a way that we have not before. And to be honest, to know what to do with yourself is one of the pinnacle quests of this lifetime, right? We start asking children at like 5 years old, what do you want to be when you grow up? And this question plagues us. And this is because what we want to do is our dharma. In astrology, this relates to your 10th house. It relates to your Saturn, and it relates to your 2nd and 6th house and your North Node. It's a lot of different energies, but astrology is about blending and interpreting multiple different dimensions. So that's why I mentioned all those pieces. Well, of course, this is why Saturn tends to be planet of struggle, because it's a struggle to figure out how to do this, how to trust ourselves, how to commit to ourselves. It's a struggle to figure out what it is that we want to do with our time and to believe that we can do it and that we'll be able to support ourselves doing it. Right? It's a struggle to shift our belief that we don't have to work for outward applause to make others happy and just to make money. Right? This is a paradigm shift. Because our cultures are teaching us to work to survive, to work for money, to work for accolades. I mean, in many cultures, children are expected to be doctors and lawyers. You know, that probably the majority of the United States culture is teaching children, you just need to be able to make money. So instead of us being connected with our passions, with what we love, with what lights us up, we get snared, but we actually snare ourselves, right? Into this allure that money will bring us happiness. And most of us know that that's an illusion. We have seen all the celebrities, we've seen all the people who have all the money that are riddled with addiction or no longer want to live. And that's because there is inherently a deep dissatisfaction that comes from that alluring illusion of financial success, right? We know the gold medalist wins and then has this moment of that was it. There must be more than this. And that's, what this period of time invites us to connect into. The more is on the inside of you. It's not the endless chasing of doing something on the outside of you. It's not doing something to get a feeling. It's actually that our doing actually comes from our being. It comes from the inside of us, not the outside of us. And this is the Cancer Capricorn axis. This is where real success is the base of who we are gets expressed out into the world. And when we are in alignment with the truth of who we are, when we're able to be our most authentic self in a public way, this is where real success is. This is where we feel aligned, energized. We want to wake up in the morning and we want to live. And I am 100% not saying there's anything wrong with having money. Okay, money is energy, and energy is abundant. So money can be abundant. But if we are working with the energy of money in a way that isn't aligned, it won't satisfy us. And again, at times we do have to swing from one side of the pendulum to the other so that we can, get it. That's part of the human journey, learning through contrast. So this solstice chart has some really interesting aspects that I wanted to bring up that can kind of indicate this flavor of the energy that we're going to be working with over the next 3 months. So first we have the sun in a square to the nodes of fate. The north node is conjunct Neptune, and the nodes are also receiving a favorable aspect from Pluto. Pluto's making a trine to the south node and a sextile to the north node. The nodes are in Aries and Libra still for just a couple more weeks. So this indicates that there's some real major life directions that are shifting over the next 3 months. Possibly a renewed sense of purpose, renewed sense of direction, maybe clarity. You know what you're needing to work for as far as for yourself. And this could even really strongly relate to nourishment of the body, health. Pluto is involved with the nodes, and this makes me feel that this next few months could be kind of this feeling of going into the cocoon, and that there is another rebirth happening, maybe a sort of 3-month rebirth period. A lot can, happen in 3 months or less than 3 months, right? When we think of the caterpillar going into the cocoon, it does a lot in a small amount of time. It literally dissolves into nothing, and then it creates a new body. It reforms into a new being. So maybe there's a smaller version of a rebirth that's happening in some area of your life. Now, the moon is in Virgo, and it's in an opposition to Saturn in Pisces. And this brings up a big tension. And the tension feels to me like, will you follow the rules or will you follow your heart? Jupiter is in a square to the moon and Saturn, and the moon's in this first quarter phase. So there is a sense of facing a crisis or difficulty. And when with the first quarter phase, you face a difficulty, a crisis, a struggle, and the soul is asking you to use that energy to restructure something. Now, the unconscious tendency of this moon phase is to go back to the familiar. The challenge, the invitation here is how can you implement new changes? How can you trust your instinct? And when I say this, I'm really saying that there's a lot of flexibility with this. All of these energies in this T square are in mutable energies. Jupiter's in Gemini, the moon's in Virgo, Saturn's in Pisces. There is a strong need to be flexible, to remember that your truth for the day may not be your truth forever. The square with Jupiter could be bringing some new insight, new information. Maybe you're learning something that's asking you to change. And maybe you have to try some things and they don't work right away and you need to make some adjustments. It's very important to be flexible. See what lands and do not be afraid to change it up. Especially for anyone with a fixed energy, anyone who's really likes consistency and firm answers. This is a time to ease up, to know that if you do not ease up, then you're probably going to learn the hard way with this T square, because the squares give us an opportunity for growth. And with this mutable energy, the opportunity is very strongly related to flexibility. So with Capricorn, remember, it is all about taking one little step at a time. You do not climb the mountain in one giant leap, right? You take lots of small steps, little by little. So to summarize, winter solstice, some little things that you might want to do for yourself as a way to ritualize the solstice is to get some greens in your home. That could be, your Christmas tree. Maybe you bring in some new plants or some foliage that you can decorate. Really powerful way to tune in to this Capricorn earth energy. Another way is sitting outside and just breathing in the fresh air, taking some moments of stillness. Definitely grab your journal and write down what are the thoughts, what are the habits, and what are the actions that you're ready to release over the next 3 months. What's ready to get cleared out? And then what are your intentions for bringing inner inspiration? What will inspire your inner light? I definitely consider writing down all the things that you have felt you should or have to do. And instead, look at that list and decide what it is that you want to do and what it is that you don't want to do. And then lastly, light a candle. Take a few moments to sit with that candle and just invite your soul to connect to the universe, to connect to spirit, to remember your essence. And I do truly hope you have a beautiful Capricorn and winter solstice. And if you're interested in any kind of personal reading, you can connect with me at kismetmystic.com. I offer virtual readings and I record them, so you could get a copy. If you're in Phoenix, I offer lots of in-person readings and one-to-one sessions. And I have some really beautiful sound healing events that you're welcome to join. So I hope you've enjoyed this reflection of the solstice, Capricorn, and Saturn energy, and that something here has resonated for you. If you have enjoyed it, please give me a rating, send this to others, uh, send a comment, let me know how it is resonating for you. Because when you're sitting on this side, you don't really know who's listening or who it's going out to. And it's definitely inspiring when I do hear back from you. So thank you so much for being here, sending you so much love. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.